Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mint's running an online class for Microsoft Teams in Education. I'm hoping that the audience has got some people in it that were in yesterday's session and in last week's session. Last week, we did a general overview of Microsoft Teams in Education. Yesterday, we dug a little bit deeper into the functionality, and what we did was we started to set up how you would do the preparation work for an online class, as well as how to store all of your files and content. Today, we are going to be going into this running an online class and take you through some of the tips and some of the functionality that exists in the platform. The team again today is myself and Cindy and Andre, and they're working all in the background, obviously not with me at the moment in their own homes. And yeah, thank you for their help in bringing this to you. So this is the agenda for today, and we've got quite a lot to get through. And please, as I said to you in the first two sessions that I've run with you, please don't be scared of the technology. Anything that you click and create can always be uncreated and unclicked. Nothing gets broken in this process. So I'm going to take you through what you have to do before you start your online class, how you would create that event inside of your calendar, how you invite students and scholars to the event, and how you distribute the material. We'll then also look at what happens during the class. How are you going to be presenting? What happens with backgrounds? Note-taking, we'll do some inclusive learning functionality that has been built by Microsoft in this platform, as well as then doing some whiteboarding for you as well, and showing you that collaborative functionality that can exist in your environments. And then we'll look at what happens after you've had the online class, and I'll take you through all of those little steps that are there. And again, I'll be referring you to some training resources within Microsoft's Educator Center. So Microsoft Teams is the hub for learning. This is where all of your content, all your chats, all your files, all your videos, every record, every meeting that is happening within your education environment comes to life and is sitting in one repository so that you don't have to look for it in multiple places. Excuse me while I quickly just undo and go to the online version here of what I'm doing. So yesterday you will have seen this interface for those of you that were in yesterday's session. And for those of you that are in today's session, welcome to this, and I hope that you get some benefit out of some of the tips we're going to give you. On the left-hand side in the rail, I'm sitting here in the Teams icon. So this is the Teams area of the platform, and we are going to go through how to set up various areas of a class. So yesterday we played in Geography Grade 10. I'm going to continue going in there. I cleaned up a few things there yesterday and last night. And I want to show you very briefly what I added last night to this. You will see here there is a geography class project. We looked at that. This was your Microsoft Planner environment where you could set up tasks and allocate them into the different buckets as to where your students may be in the process and giving that visibility. I also have added two more. I added a National Geographic video, which came from YouTube. And if you remember very briefly how we set that up, it's as simple as clicking this little plus, add a tab, and you're able to go into YouTube over here. And then all I did was once I clicked that, I just put my search in there. I just said volcano information grade 10, and up came one of the videos, and that was from National Geographic. So I'm just going to shut that down. It's a very brief recap of what's there. And then in Poly, we created a survey. This is what Poly was brought in there. We signed in with a Microsoft account. And very, very quickly, we were able to look at what were these surveys. How do we create a poll? It's as simple as this. If you're wanting to know, have your students absorbed information that's going on? So what we could put here is on Earth, do volcanoes only exist on land masses ? And we could just fix that little typo there. You put in your choice as yes or no. because you're wanting to test, have your students absorb the information that you do get undersea volcanoes. That's what you're allowing. You don't have to click multiple votes, and you can't let them add choices. Everything done. We preview that. Yes, we like that, and we push send. And you would see in this here, there is your poll. This would appear in your posts. There is the post. It is, and this is exactly what your students will be seeing. In this instance, I'm just going to vote. I click yes, and I can submit the vote, and you will see that I have submitted vote there, and it'll update. There we go. You can see that I'm the person who has voted this stage, and you could view all of your results from your students. So a very effective way of doing some very simple double checks on have your classes absorb the information. So let's go now, and what we're going to do is I'm now going to show you how to create these events inside of the calendar. I just want to make sure that, there we go, that was in my chats. There's the poll was created. Let's go to calendar. On the left-hand side in your rail are all of these icons for the different functionality. This is your calendar. I've set this calendar up in the background, much like I would believe before you've entered all of your classes. Sits within the teacher's environment. You have a break at 10 o'clock, a break at 12:30. And then there is other things here. I even put in overseeing detention for those kids. So here we go. This is your calendar in Teams seamlessly integrates with your calendar in Outlook. So whatever you enter into calendar here in Microsoft Teams automatically syncs into your Outlook calendar. You do not have to go and create it in two different places. So what I want to do is I want to create new meetings. So the longer way around is you can create this new meeting here. I'm going to get back to this Meet Now functionality because that's instantaneous meeting, but we're going to work with a planned meeting here. If you click this, it'll start taking you through when, what times, what dates, all of that. To make this easier for you, go into the schedule. Let's say that tomorrow at 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, there's going to be a class session. So all I've done is I have clicked. Let's just close that again to show you. I'm going to go back up here. I just clicked my mouse and drag it down and release it. And up comes the meeting planner that you're going to create, which sets up your online classroom for your students. So this is where we're going to go along, and I'm going to show you how to do this. I want to, before we go here, show you a little trick that will save you a huge amount of time when you're trying to share content with your students. In order to do that, I need to just close this down. I'm going to go back to the teams. So remember, these are the teams that we had, or this is where all of our teams were. Still staying in geography class. I want to go and I want to have a look at some of the information that I have got, which is my content for the students. Do you remember in general, I had this here and we looked at what was in the files and we came to class materials. Let's go down to volcanology. There's handouts and there's syllabus content that I have created for you inside here. So let's just go to syllabus. And I said that here there's syllabus content. This is just purely a file for demonstration purposes. And we're going to pretend that we're in week 1 of the syllabus for geography, teaching about volcanoes. Watch what I'm going to do here. I'm just hovering my cursor over this. I want to right click it, not left click it, because left click will open it. I want you to copy this link in this instance. Okay, and we copy it. Now that is stored within your laptop's clipboard, and it'll remember what we're trying to do just now. Now let's go back to the calendar and you'll see why I've done this. So going back to the calendar, we're going to create this meeting, this class tomorrow between 8 and 9 a.m. We're going to do here, we're going to add the title, geography, grade 10s. Volcanoes, name of your class that you're going to be having. You do not have to type in add required attendees. This is only if this is optional people that you want to to include. Now that sounds a little bit counterintuitive. I'll show you how that works just now. You just double check you've got your date, the 16th of April, that 8 o'clock running until 16th of April, 9 a.m. And that lines up with what we expected. We don't want to have this a repeat, or you do want to have it as a repeat. So let's say that we do want to have this as a repeat because you may be running this, let's say, for 3 weeks. So we want to run this weekly. It occurs every Thursday starting the 16th of the 4th. In fact, let's make this custom. So what we want to do is we're going to go start the 16th. It happens on a Thursday, and select the date when this ends. So this would be 1, 2, 3. The 30th of April would be the last class when this series in this class ends for you, and you push save. Now this is the part which demonstrates why you don't have attendees. You add the channel. So you will see what this does is this looks at all of your teams and the channels within the teams. And we're looking at geography, and we look at volcanology, and we click that. Now, what happens is when we push send ultimately for this meeting planner, every student that has been included in that geography grade 10 team is going to receive this as an email into their Outlook, as well as it'll appear in the posts. And I'll show you that just now so that they can see it within Microsoft Teams. Where's the location? Well, at the moment we're doing everything online. So just type in the words online, and we'll just use online as a location. So now you want to type a message to your students about this meeting. So we're going to go here and we're going to go, hi students, please could you do the online reading before you attend this class? Many thanks. Whoops. Okay. Now, do you remember just now we did the copying of that link back in the team on the requisite content that you wanted to have? So what you could do is you do this. You could type in the words, click this link. Over here is a link to create this link to that content. So what we're going to do is we're going to just highlight that, click the link, and so the words click this link will remain, but in the background, the address that you had, that is the address of that content earlier on. So if you click this link, it will take you through to that geography syllabus content for week 1, that file that I mentioned earlier on. So that is a tip to help you. Otherwise, what you'd be typing is something that looks like this, which is very cumbersome. You'd be saying, please view team geography grade 10, and then you would go to general, and then you would say go to files. That's the kind of thing that will be going on and on and on until eventually you get to the file. It's extremely, extremely cumbersome in this instance to do this. So what I wanted to do is just show you that magic with that click this link. Quite a nice little tip that, and it makes your lives a lot easier. Let me just correct that spelling error before the English teacher gets hold of me. Now we're going to send this. In fact, I wanted to quickly just show you something else here. In the scheduling assistant, if I had all of my attendees, for example, if I had to include another teacher or a classroom assistant or somebody inside this as an optional attendee, you'd be wanting to see that in this time frame, this Thursday, the 16th of April, that everybody is free for this class. It just happens to be functionality that's been pulled over from the Microsoft Teams for Corporates world, but you would presume that if you're going to be running a class for your students, all of them are available. So let's just go back to the details here. I just want to make sure that I have included everything for you. Here's some other cool functionality that you can add to draw this attention to students, because we've all been students at some point in time and have blamed the lack of being able to do something on naivety, or I didn't know, or I really didn't care, or whatever. you can highlight this link, click the highlighter, and you can choose a color. Now that link is very, very obvious to the eye when you get into this meeting planner. So that gives you some tips around. The rest of this is really about text formatting, whether you wanted to make this bold, so we could make that bold if you wanted to. And all of these others, all about formatting, left alignment, central alignment, right alignment, bullet pointing, all of that you've seen before when you've worked in applications like Word. Right, so we're ready to send this on to our students and we push send. Now what happens is you will see that this has appeared inside of my calendar, and every single one of the students who is part of the geography team will receive an email notifying them that this exists. They will accept that. And then you will also find that that's what we're setting in the posts. So let's just go back to the team. You will see in the posts here. Let's just go back here. Sorry, there we go. So in Volcanology, in the channel, in its posts, you will now see that here is your detail regarding this meeting, and the students can go see more. Here's my click this link in highlighted yellow and bold that we've been speaking about, or I've been speaking about for the last couple of minutes. So that gives you a very good overview on how to create this going forward. I also wanted to show you that when you wanted to make sure, let's go back into the calendar. For example, let's go back into this, and we wanted to make sure we can have required attendees. Let's say that one of my people I want is a classroom assistant, and I'm going to put an @ mention to call them their name up quite quickly. I push shift and @ Here is everybody else I would like that MINT teacher to be attending this meeting as well. So just showing you what goes on there. There is no updates there. Let's put discard. Okay. And we go back to this meeting. Now, here we go. This is the meeting that will happen tomorrow. What you'll do is tomorrow you will join this class. So what will happen is you as the teacher join this class. Let's say it's at 7:58 tomorrow morning, and you'll push join. Okay, there's me sitting in one of my rooms at my home. And this is how this works now. So you click join now. Right, now you can see all of that's happening there. There is a conversation on the right-hand side that you will see over here. So here in the meeting chat is already this information regarding what the instruction was when you sent out this meeting. You can then type information into this chat, much like you've seen on any of your other social media feeds, and your students can interact with you in this. This chat here will remain with the meeting content in the posts under Volcanology. So when we finish this, I'll finish this off and I'll show you where this has gone to. Now you'll also see there is this functionality here. Here is my turn camera off. I would recommend as the teacher, you retain keeping the camera on so that your students can see you. The other thing is in terms of muting, if somebody else is speaking, just click that like that, you will have seen, because when I mute, you can't hear me. And in terms of the sharing, you'll be able to share your screen with your students. So if I click share here, you will see the various things that are available here for me to share. I'm going to show you some really cool functionality. This is where your whiteboard is. So if you'd like me to go back there, let's just do that again. I click share, because if you want to share for example, the content you've got open on your desktop or inside of PowerPoint, I advise you do it on your screen share here. Just make sure that all your other windows that you don't want students to see is sitting closed, so that when you're going through your desktop, they're not looking at all your other stuff, because you might be marking tests and you might have information around a student who is struggling and you don't want the rest of the class to see that. If you click on Microsoft Whiteboard, we go into the whiteboard and this loads up. You can see it still retains the video functionality at the bottom here. But now what happens is we're going to open that in the Microsoft Whiteboard. Just hold on for a second. It's quickly just opening up Whiteboard. Hey, okay, there we go. All right, so now you can draw in this Whiteboard at the same time. So I'm just going to close that, and because I don't want it to whiteboard, I didn't want to whiteboard everything across there that I was working on with one of our customers. You can also open this in the app or get the Windows app, so that will open up in your browser. And there we go. So you're about to join this Whiteboard. There we go. Now, when you create this, everybody inside of your class can be invited to join this. You can copy the link to share it. So what you can do is copy this link, go down here and paste it. Push enter. Now people can join on that there. That is the link to this Whiteboard. You can then draw in this Whiteboard. Now, if you have a touch screen, it's a lot easier. I do, but I don't want to go fiddling around with stuff there at the moment and seeing what's happening there. Okay, so choose a green pen and you can start to draw. And you might want to do things like this. You can also add text to this as well. If you don't like that, you say, well, my drawings are really, really rubbish. We can rub those out. So the functionality is here so that you can move around this canvas and you can draw and add all sorts of information to this that you want to share with your students, and they too can collaborate with you as well in this space. So that just gives you some functionality that sits in there. You can export this image when you're done. So what you do is when you do, you export the final Whiteboard as an SVG image, and what happens is that can then save to your files, and you've always got that image to go back to around what you did in the lesson here. So this is really nice functionality to work together when you are trying to make sure that people are collaborating in your class. I'm just going to be closing off this functionality here. I'm going to go back to sharing, and we would share the desktop window, and that's where that would go to there as well. So there we go. I'm going to exit from this now. In fact, before I exit from this, I would like to show you some functionality that you won't be seeing in this, because in this ellipsis, I want to show you about start recordings as well as background blurring. The reason I want to show you this, it's not available in this event because we're running a live event. This is not a class event. I need to go into my corporate session here. I'm going to turn on my video. All right, okay, it's a live event. So you will see here, there is this here. There is the background events and the recording functionality that would normally be on at the moment. Cindy and Andre are recording this, so I can't click that record. If you click start recording, your entire class event that you run is recorded. I'm going to show you what you do with that file when you're finished. So let's go here to show background effects, because like you see me at the moment, I'm sitting in one of the bedrooms at our home. I've got a whole lot of stuff in the background that's not necessarily appropriate for a classroom. If you happen to have all sorts of stuff in the background in your home when you're running these classes, you don't want to be sharing that with your students. So if you click this show background effects, you've got all this imaging that you can then use as a background. If you use this one on the top right hand side, this is a blurring. The only thing that's visible in the blurring would be my face. Now, because you're running a live event, you're not seeing this while I'm presenting, but this will apply when you do your classes online. So you could also choose some of these other images. There's one here which looks like a gym locker room. There's the beach if you really want to mess with your kids' heads and say that you're at the beach. You've got one here which is an office. There is, if you scroll through these, a range of them. Some of them are quite fun and colorful. And I suppose you would choose one that is age appropriate. There is one here with a classroom that is animated graphics as well. And not animated in terms of moving it, it's computer generated. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Then you've got one for space, and you've got some that's a bit like a virtual fantasy world, you can choose the background which you would like to appear behind you. The only thing that's visible is you and your shoulders in the video and in the background. So it's quite a nice set of functionality to have there. Let's cancel that out. Now I've got to get out of this here. Let me just go here, close that down. Just give me a second while I get back to normality. All right, so that gives you all of the functionality here. At the end of your class meeting, there is this function called End Meeting. As the teacher, click that End Meeting when you're done. The reason you would want that is because if you hang up, your students in the background can stay online within that meeting space. If you click End Meeting, everybody drops off the call simultaneously. So it's just a little bit of a show for you and a little bit of a tip so that you don't have that issue with your students hanging around in the class, in the virtual classroom. I hope that's explained all of that there to you. So let's go out of this meeting. I'm going to hang up on that meeting. I've left that meeting. It'll ask you to vote how your call quality was, and Microsoft used this as a mechanism to understand how things were with their solution. So the call structure was okay, and we're going to move on from there. Now, I've spoken to you about muting. When we were inside of that meeting, you can mute, and you can also have your students all muted as well. It's part of the etiquette of this online environment. You're taking your notes. I mentioned to you, you can take them in the right-hand side panel of that calendar meeting. So if you wanted me to go back there to show that to you, we can just join that, and we can join that now. I turn off my video, and you will see that we can have the chat pane over here. You can also have questions and answers to the teachers from students. They can post them here, and you'll be able to see them, and you can speak to those questions as they arise. At the bottom of this chat box here, you can then format how you want to respond. If you want it to be bolded, or you want to draw their attention using something that's got a highlighted color, you can attach a file, you can use emojis. One of your kids happens to go say something really funny that is appropriate in the class, you can put something in there and you could post that there. Then you could be the coolest teacher in the class if you start this stuff. So there we go. You can also add stickers, and then we can go to Microsoft Stream, which is kind of where we're going to go shortly, and I want to take you through that functionality and moving through that. So let me just move out of that meeting space. Let's just go there, and we're going to go back into the Teams. I want to go back to Geography, Volcanology. Here's the meeting has ended inside of here. You see that channel the chat space that I was talking to on the right hand side of the screen just now within the meeting. You'll see here it says the meeting has ended. Here is the Geography grade 10 chat that was there. There's all of this information that went on inside of that meeting. There was I typed hello, I gave the link to the whiteboard, the meeting was ended, and there was that GIF that we had sitting inside of there. So that gives you some view of where your meeting with its casual notes on the right hand side goes to. Obviously, if you wanted to take more, let's call them more richly populated notes within your environment, you click the notes, and up will come the notes, or the OneNote for Volcanology that gets created by Microsoft Teams in the background. All right, I'm having a bit of a problem here. Hey, okay, all right, so this is where it would happen. You would go in, it would look something like this, the Geography grade 10 notebook. I'm just opening it here in a web browser, and let's have a quick look and see what we're sitting with. Here's the students that we added yesterday. In your content library, you can upload to your handouts, or what you can do is you can go here to the content library, you can add a page, and we could have class session and tomorrow's date, which was when we had the meeting, of course, on the 16th, And you can go into this here, and then you can upload files and content to this page within this notebook. When you've finished that, you click Class Notebook and you distribute the page to your students so that they have got a record from you of everything that went on inside of that class. If you click Distribute Page, you click it to the distribution group that we would have set up. This functionality may be a little slow. We are finding that some stuff in the OneNote environments at the moment are slow due to the online load at the moment. So all of those, we called them the grade 10 volcano experts, and we said next, and we wanted to send what information there was, and we would send that to the students from the class sessions. So that gives you an idea of how we would send that information on to the students after your lesson has been finished. I just want to get back out of here. The recording of your session. Now you would have seen, let's just go back here. The meeting ended in this. Now, once you record the meeting, it will also pop up here, and you'll be able to look at that recording. The recording, you can then do this. And this is where life becomes so much easier with revisiting content when you're sitting in the digital world, rather than having to do it like we've always done it historically, with paper or lengthy videos that people have to go and revisit and. You would copy the link of the video, because the video would come up here. That would be your record, or sorry, not your video, the recording of the session. If there was obviously video with it, it would include it inside of that. You then take it and you open up Microsoft Stream. How did I get to this? So remember here in your Microsoft Office home, where we click Teams, we were able to open it up here. You will see within your services and applications from Microsoft, this service called Stream. If you click on that icon, it will open up in something that looks like this. Now, I prepared this for you a couple of days ago because I didn't want to have the situation of waiting for this to be prepared. So I've got in my content, there is a video. This video that I had was Microsoft Education getting started with remote learning. I'm going to just open that up. And I need to make sure that I just pause it.
Hey folks.
There we go. Okay, so I've just paused it. This video could be your recorded session from your class. It could be another video that you may have uploaded, that one like we've got from YouTube on volcanoes. You could upload that link into Teams, and what happens in the background is this. The video gets uploaded into Microsoft Azure. That is the cloud where everything is stored. It then gets processed. And by processed, I mean that it then goes through all of the audio file and it creates this entire transcript on the right-hand side of the entire video. So you can see where I'm pulling this slider down, there is all this content for the 27 minutes and 25 seconds that exist here. Now, if this is your video and your students have got access to that transcript, the very cool functionality in this is they can say, I remember that Mrs. Smith mentioned something about online. Type in online into the search bar and you push enter. And what happens is this looks like here. At 22 minutes and 55 seconds, if I click that, you will see this video here. You'll see the slider giving you progress through the video has gone to 22.55 seconds, and it gives you where the words online was mentioned in the video. So I'm just giving you an indication of what this is. So we could have another one here. We search for the word learning just so that I can reiterate this and show you this. So when we type in the word learning, it looks through the transcript and it finds every single second where the word learning was mentioned in this video. And by clicking on this transcript pool here, you then go directly to the video exactly where it was mentioned. This one was mentioned at 22 minutes and 1 second. So this is really, really smart functionality that Microsoft have brought to this environment to help the ease in which information can be communicated. So that gives you an idea of recordings and transcripting, and I've given you a sight on what the distribution of notes looks like as well. And we have got files here which you can then upload other files to this going forward. Let's go and have a look then at creating some other events, and I'm trying to make sure that I've covered all of my bases. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to come back to. In the calendar, Microsoft Teams calendar, you'll recall top right hand side here, there are these two buttons. We used plus new meeting, or I described to you what plus new meeting would be. So if you click that, you then have to go and enter all of the information like we did earlier. Or you've got start a private meeting now. So if we click that meeting now, it's going to say choose a meeting, join now. Right, I'm going to turn off my video because I get bored looking at myself. All right, and I want to invite somebody to this meeting. So I happen to be sitting at my desk and I'm getting stuff ready, and I need to meet with one of the other teachers, and I just put in Mint teacher. Here we go. And what happens is they're telling me right now that they're unavailable for this call, so I can't make that call. So let's just close that down. But that's really cool functionality. Let me come out of this. Let's say that I was sitting and I was thinking to myself, one of the students asked me to get back to them on a question. And now you know that your students are working in the background. They may not be in a class session. You might have assigned them a task, and you recall one of the students or scholars asked you a question. You think, I needed you to get back to them for a couple of seconds, let them know what my answer was. Just click meet now, close off that, join that now, and it says please invite somebody. So I can have a look now at my students, and let's say Cindy happens to be one of the students. I'd click that, and I can have a quick conversation with Cindy, and I can then shut that call down. You will have the recording functionality available to you in that as well. So that just gives you a smart indication of how you can meet instantaneously with your students. Let's just dismiss that. When we go back into the Teams here and this posts, this functionality, and my cursor is moving down the bottom here, and you will see this is where we can have those conversations where you can format the conversation. You can attach a file, you can put the fun emojis and the little GIF videos in. You can add stickers to this, and then here is your meet now. In one of the sessions that I spoke to, and I think it was the one on Wednesday and Thursday that were repeated, I did highlight the fact that when you're in a meeting or in a classroom setting and you're finding that there is a lot of chatter coming back on that text board on the right-hand side that I showed you earlier, where students might be saying, I don't understand this now, and you need to meet with them because you want to let me reverse out of that. My serious apologies. I've gone down a road which is the wrong one. If you have been discussing things with your students outside of a meeting, not inside of a meeting or classroom, a virtual classroom, and you're seeing there's a lot of chatter coming on these posts here, you can do this meet now and share with them your screen or have a very quick video call with them to help them with what's going on. Bottom right-hand side is stream there as well here as well. You've got praising, so you can click praise, and we can send praise so students feel like they're being acknowledged and rewarded for various things. So we can put here that there was a team player. Thank you for helping set up the class today. You are a star. And let me just quickly fix that spelling error. Type the name, and I go here. Sorry, let's just go here. Cindy, there we go. And I preview what does that look like. That's awesome, great. And I push send. you will now see that this sits within this channel of volcanology. There it is. So the rest of the class can see when you're acknowledging things to with your students and with your scholars. This gives you a location. I've already spoken to YouTube and I've spoken to Polly. This gives you a location in places that you may want to visit, and you can go inside of that. I haven't set this up in the background, but if you do click this location, Microsoft will ask you to set up your location and a map, and you can go in there and search for places of interest by text field. When you've got that, you can then locate and pin that location and share it with this channel. So if you wanted to go on a class outing and you needed to show the students where they are going to be going to, then what you would do is you would type in the name of that place. Let's say it was the Johannesburg State Theatre in a drama class. You would get the State Theatre would pop up. You can tag that location and share it with the rest of the people inside of this feed. So this here is if you were subscribed to Discovery Education, which is a completely different subscription. This is one that I've been testing. It will not appear in your versions that you may have. And this is MindMeister, where you have got the ability to search for mind maps. So what we can do is you can set up this MindMeister. How did I set up MindMeister? Let me just escape this here. Let's go into Geography Grade 10. Let's go plus. I included it from here. I looked down inside of here and I found MindMeister. In fact, let me just do it in the there we go. I typed in Mind and up came MindMeister. Right, that's awesome. I'll log in with my 365 account. Okay, and we can put here, we will call this tab Mind Map for Volcanoes. Volcanoes. Right, and then what it'll create the mind map, and you push save, and away this goes in the background. You can then have these mind maps. There it sits. Okay, volcanoes, there's your mind map for volcanoes, and you can create this now and have this discussion with your students, and they can come back and add their thoughts as they go along. So some really nice functionality for having this inside of your classes. Calendar of calls we're not going to touch on today. Friday, we obviously are going to be having assignments, and we're going to be going into the assignments, a very brief view of what that looks like. You would choose a class where you are going to be creating that assignment. So if you're the geography teacher and you click there, we want to go inside of there, and we would then start to set up the assignments in the background before we get ready to send them out to students. So you start here and you give it a blank slate. We'll create the assignment and we can send that out. That is going to be our session on Friday. Tomorrow, on Friday, we'll also talk about the submission of assignments and the grading, and then also giving you the insights that we are able to share with the students once you have been through the insights, be able to look at marks, who's been submitting stuff on time, how long does it take for students to respond. There's some very nice data insights in that functionality, and I will take you through that on Friday. As I was leaping to is tomorrow is the student session that is going to be held. This is to help scholars and students understand the platform from their side, because everything that you've been seeing here with me happens to be what the teacher or the lecturer is creating and seeing. This is a view of that side of the platform. Your students have a slightly different view of this. It's not dramatically different, but obviously they don't have the functionality in a higher level to look at things like creating assignments and uploading content and I'll be taking the scholars and students through that, and I would strongly encourage you, if it's possible, to remind students that you're in contact with to please get into that session tomorrow also at 10 o'clock, so that we can give them their view and help them become a little more efficient at doing what they need to do on Teams, so that you as the teacher are now not trying to coach them on how to use the technology platform. Let me go out of this, and I'm going to go back into my presentation here. This here, I encourage you again as the teachers and educators to please join the Microsoft Educator community at education.microsoft.com and go through all of the resourcing and learning paths that are there. I'm not saying you need to go and do them all, because there is a lot of functionality that needs to be, a lot of courses that need to be done. You'll get very broad insight into what's happening within the education space, and I hope that today's session has really helped you. Thank you for your time. If you wish to contact us, please feel free to visit our website. As you'll see, the URL is up on the screen at the moment. And if you would like any kind of assistance that is required, or you've got comments, particularly if you have enjoyed these sessions and you're getting value from them, we would really like to know that. We really want to make a difference in the education space for you. So thank you very much for your time. The session has finished slightly early. I look forward to seeing all of you on Friday, and please remind the rest of your students and scholars for tomorrow's session. Have a good day and be safe.